erosion of the rule of law. So facts versus trauma is how I have this kind of sided up. But the concept
Facts
is
versus trauma. Oh,
facts. Yeah, facts versus trauma. So basically, it's like prioritizing a perpetrator's trauma over the victim's justice. There's something actually. It's actually new. It's in 2026. It's called Sarah's Law. It was designed, and I was actually surprised because 2026. This is obviously very recent, and but it's Preventing Unfair Sentencing Act. New federal legislation is pushing for trauma-informed sentencing, giving judges the power to depart from mandatory minimums by up to 35% if the defendant has a history of trauma.
Well, that would be everybody.
I know. Most of these psychopaths or these people that are getting sentenced for killing people, raping people, they don't have the best background. They don't come from the best family.
No, and everybody has some sort of trauma.
Yeah.
Like, you think you're special because you have trauma. You're not. We all have it.
Yeah.
We all deal with it every day. That's dumb.
Yeah, and I feel like it just goes to show, like, people that have trauma, it's almost like a reward. And I agree. Or
it's almost like a status anymore.
A status. That's better said. And I agree. People have trauma, and some people have more than others. But the fact that they're looking at it as, hey, if you've had trauma, then you can get your sentence reduced. And the more trauma you've had, the more reduction you get. You know, sentencing is number one. It's to help keep society safe. And just because you had trauma and now you're not safe doesn't, you get released early into society, you're still not safe potentially.
That's just so crazy. Like, your trauma does not give you the pass or the excuse to make someone your victim.
Yeah. And it's like, it's having a hard life becomes a legal excuse. It seems like that's what they're doing. And the law no longer is there to shield the innocent. It's a therapy session for the guilty. Now, I will say, I have a problem with our current not justice system, but the prison and, most people that come out of prison can come out worse than what they went in. They usually go back 2 or 3 times. So I'm not against looking at that and when they're in prison and what they're doing and how they're trying to get through all their issues.
You know how to fix it though, right? Introduce Bible study into their daily schedules.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that, Bible study. I know it seems like a lot of people convert to Muslim when they're in prison.
That's crazy.
But I don't know if that's because they do stuff like that and then and for some reason they lean towards Islam.
Islam. What is it? Islam is a very disciplined, straight-laced type belief set.
Very
set of beliefs.
More of a black and white scenario.
Yeah. So I could imagine someone that is in prison that doesn't have that structure, that type of belief set might be attractive to them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so I'm not against necessarily reforming the prison and how that works, but what I am against is giving people a pass based on having trauma in their life. Like, if they've had trauma in life and now they're doing some serious crimes, then that's a problem. And if you're in prison, you've done something pretty serious to get yourself there. It's either drugs, selling drugs, or heavily into drugs. It's DUIs, and you've hurt someone. It's what? Murder, white-collar crimes that are, stealing or fraud against people, those types of things. So I think reducing a sentence based on people's trauma is just not the right way to look at it. Number 2 that I want to look at is death of meritocracy. So it's equity versus excellence. So lowering standards to ensure equal outcomes so no one feels hurt. And man, we see this a lot.
Everyone gets a trophy.
It's the whole everybody gets a trophy scenario. Yeah. So you can see this in schools with with athletics. I think a big thing that we've seen is, well, I think since COVID, a lot of schools have, and I don't know exactly how I feel about this, but the SATs and ACTs, there's like a reinstatement battle right now. I don't know if you know this, but while schools like MIT and Harvard have brought back testing, many other elite schools, universities, are still fighting to keep testing as an optional policy, claiming standardized test is proxies for privilege. Now, I've never liked tests, or I was never like the greatest test taker. Large tests, like the ones that are 2-3 hours, the SATs, or we had those tests that you did in schools, like quarterly or MAP or whatever.
MAP
I think they were
testing.
called
MAP is
maybe Iowa
Missouri.
tests
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. They MAP. We are from Missouri, so it was Missouri MAP, Missouri something. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. But anyway, I was never very good at those. I don't know if my attention span wasn't long enough or what.
I don't know if I was good at them.
But
I just marked C all the way down.
But like I was an AB, so I mean some quarters like a straight A student.
That's good for you.
But I didn't do very well on those tests.
Yeah.
But I worked my butt off through school trying to, get good grades and get a good GPA, which I did have. But so I'm not like I look at some of these things differently. I don't necessarily think they're good because of what they're saying, which is proxies for privilege. And it's kind of like in the name of empathy, we are sacrificing excellence.
Yeah.
So we want similar outcomes.
Tests are there to measure how much retention you have sustained from the year.
Yeah.
So that's more what it is.
How you retain your information.
Yeah, how you retain your information. But a lot of people will just it's not I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but there's got to be a better way to measure that, because I wasn't a great test taker either. I just, if it wasn't something I was interested in, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But if it was something I was highly interested in, I could tell you everything about it. So, but yeah, tests were never. A lot of people are really good at just cramming it and remembering it for a short period of time, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
So I think that's more what tests do. How good are you at retaining things for a
I'm a crammer.
period?
I cram it and then it goes out.
You cram it, yeah.
You're kind of the opposite though. You'll learn something, and once you learn it,
it sticks.
4 or 5 years later, you'll bring it up to me, and
yep.
I can hardly remember what happened yesterday. So, but if we stop measuring who is the best, I think we stop being the best at that point. When you lower it to the kind of the average or the lowest common denominator, that's what what you're measuring. That's what people will become, because there's not an award system to be greater than that. Another thing to look at is victimhood currency. We talked about this a little bit, but this is something that they pointed out as I was reading through this, is status is no longer earned through achievement, it's claimed through suffering. So your status, whether, hey, I was a minority or I was low income, there's some type of status that comes, or merit that people think they have because of that, and not necessarily because of what they've earned or accomplished in life. The rise of trauma posting in corporate HR. Employees are being encouraged to lead with their marginalization identities and personal traumas to gain social standings and promotions. We have built a social stock market where the most broken person has the most power. It incentivizes staying in pain rather than seeking healing. Again, you see this all in the news, and we saw this tons, like,
yeah, I like my
Black
leader.
Lives Matter and those types of things. It was like there was like white shaming, and if you weren't a minority, then you didn't have that type of victimhood status that they could.
Yeah. Well, everyone wants to be led by someone that is a complete mess, because they're great decision makers.
Yeah, and that's what ends up happening, right? It's like the messiest person is the one that's going to lead at that point.
This is going to end very badly when you have someone with trauma leading you, or trauma that is hindering their decision making skills, especially.
Yeah.